Least. That way I don't forget. I have kind of lost my voice, so this is going to be
Oh,
interesting to see how we go, considering I talk for a living. Um,
oh God.
yes, I've got a bit of a head cold, so let's see what happens. And then hopefully a few more people will jump on. If not, that's no big deal because you and I will have a great session
I'll
and
get a
get to
one-on-one.
learn a lot and be more in a one-on-one. And it's going to be interesting because this is the first time I've run this for PTs, is to see what time works best for people. Because for me, finishing Friday about lunchtime is normally it, which then I do have time. And then Saturday, I don't work Saturdays anymore. I've done my hard yards, but I used to finish about lunchtime. So that was my theory about times. What do you feel is industry standard?
Same. Like I don't work the weekend. I do Monday to Friday, and Friday it's about like lunchtime more or less. The studio is open. The studio is open on Saturday. Oh my God,
Mhm.
what is going on? I pressed something. Sorry, I pressed something on the computer. Um, the studio is open on Saturday, but just half a day. So about lunchtime they close, but I don't have anyone
Oh, okay, yep.
clients on Saturday.
Yeah, so I thought, and we'll trial and see what is the best time for everyone.
I think it's more like the family things to do on Saturday on the weekend, right?
Yeah, so I don't know. And not all, that's the other thing, not all PTs have family either. So, like, I know when I was single, I would work psychotic hours and it didn't matter. So,
Yeah.
you have little ones.
No, not yet. Not
Yeah,
yet.
a lot
What
of work when it happens. But the best thing, and this is my advice, because obviously I've been doing this for a long time, is that I didn't put my kids in daycare. I didn't have to.
yeah.
I'd work the morning, and then my husband would do the morning stuff with them, and then I'd come home, and
And
then I'm lucky I've got grandparents, or we call them yaya in Greek, to look after them in the afternoon. So they did a couple of the in-laws did a couple of shifts in the afternoon for me, so I never had to put my kids in daycare,
that's so good. That's
which
so
I
good.
don't want to. It's a personal preference, and this job has allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
So if it's on your cards in the future, I'm sharing.
Literally. Literally, like I'm trying to get my online. So in the morning, I work in the studio, and
Mhm.
my boyfriend is the owner of the studio.
Oh,
So
it's
yeah. So in the morning, I work there, and then in the afternoon, I come home and I'm trying to set up my own online so that I have at the moment, I have like 7 or 8 people
yeah,
online. So I'm trying to get that going so that at least at the end, I will be able to don't not work face to face anymore and just deal with the online stuff so that I can stay home. And when I'm gonna have kids, I do
yeah,
have to put them anywhere. Like I can stay home with them. So
yeah.
that's the plan.
It is possible. With your online stuff, are you doing it like over Zoom or over phone or actually
Well,
on
it
your own?
depends. It really depends on the offer because
Mm.
with the one-on-one, it's more like program nutrition calls, not really Zoom. I don't really want to do the
Yeah,
one-on-one time like that enough. Like that would literally like defeat the purpose of having an online
yeah,
business for me, right? But for the group offer that I have,
yeah.
I do have like one call a week, which is like about 30 minutes or an hour with the whole group. So
Okay.
yeah, and I will have like multiple cohorts soon, so I'll have probably 2 or 3 calls a
Oh,
week.
okay.
So I'm setting it up in a way that allows me to actually stay home. Oh my God, what is going on? This thing is doing everything by itself. Hold on. I don't know, my computer started like, because I'm using Claude for something and like it
Okay.
started doing things by itself. I'm like, not now.
Not now, not now.
Not
What are
now.
you doing? AI, what are you doing? That's awesome. And yeah, you will be able to stay like I'll be honest, and most of my clients know this and their mums themselves. I was breastfeeding during some of our calls because that's what Bub needs. And
Yeah.
because I did most of them on phone call, and if it, I have two Zoom PT clients, and because that was cameras on, I just tilted it up so they could only see
Yeah,
from here up. And because they're mothers, they understand.
exactly. Like women understands. Like
Yeah.
we understand that's not a problem for us. Like you have a kid, what do you want to
Yeah.
do?
And that's the beautiful thing where you are now is you get to build enough rapport with them.
Yeah.
But when time comes, they're a lot more forgiving once you've got that rapport as well.
Like honestly, I have because I've been a PT face to face for like 2 or 3 years or something like that.
Mm.
I used to work at a previous studio before, which was another studio that my partner owned.
Yeah.
And that was up until 2 years ago, I think. No, last year. I can't even remember. But I still have rapport, like a very close rapport with some of these clients. Like it's crazy. We still like see each other. We go for breakfast. It's just crazy. It's so good.
Yeah. And then that will serve you long
Oh
term,
yeah,
building that rapport. And then they're more inclined to give you referrals and everything. It's
exactly right.
that relationship.
Exactly right.
Beautiful. We might get started, and then if anybody else is jumping in, um, we will admit them. I just hope it's going to alert me when people are jumping in. But I don't want people to be waiting in the waiting room and miss out. So if you do see somebody waiting, let
I'll
me
let you
know.
know.
Yeah, definitely. And then we'll see how well I go with my voice. So, first of all, I'm going to hear your wins and breakthroughs from yesterday. What came up for you that was different, new, helpful?
Definitely Evelyn's stories. Like as I said yesterday, seeing that someone felt like safe in gaining fat because of the story that she had, that was for me was a bit shocking because I've always seen obviously fat gain as in like is not really a positive thing, right? But I never thought someone coming from such a story, such a background, can actually see it as a safe thing. Like that was really eye-opening. And that actually got me thinking about my client. And I was thinking maybe because she used to have such, well, I don't know how abusive it was, but her parents were alcoholics. So I'm assuming that's the safety mechanism that she created for herself. And that was like, okay, well now I understand why she can't. But again, I can't still correlate yet, like the binge eating, because for me, binge eating comes from what I've textbook studies, right? For what binge eating is for me is you restrict so much that then you go and binge on everything that you actually want to eat because you don't allow yourself to have that. And that's what happens to me in terms of like binge eating, but it's not like crazy episode of binge eatings. But if I restrict that much, which I don't do now anymore because like I kind of learned, right? But I used to do it. Like I used to say no to chocolate, no to this, no to that. And and then I would binge on that. Like after a week or two, I would just snap and be like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna have everything.
But he does, yeah.
So that's the binge eating for me. But seeing that someone actually uses as a safety mechanism, that was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy to me.
And your client may not understand it from a conscious level, that she does it unconsciously, is more
Yeah,
likely to be the driver. Evelyn's done a lot of work on herself, so she does get a lot of this, and it's in her conscious awareness. Your client, if she's never looked at this kind of stuff before, it'd be an unconscious driver, not a conscious driver. And the hardest thing as a coach is you can't put the words in their mouth. You
yeah,
can't tell her that story because, like of Evelyn, oh, sometimes you can tell stories and they can make the correlation, but don't ever say that it's your body fat that is keeping you safe. You need for them, and it's really hard as a coach, but you need to do it, is to let them have that discovery themselves because otherwise they won't own it. So
yeah,
we do that in the next session, which is secondary gain. You can see it there with bright, shining lights, but you can't tell them. You need to pull it out of them. And that can be an hour session just in trying to get to the bottom of getting them
right.
to say what you can see with bright, shiny lights. So that is a challenge in itself. Definitely.
I feel like I have, as a, I'm trying to be like, obviously, I'm always trying to let them arrive at their own conclusions. But sometimes, when you have that, oh my God, I want to help you so much right now that I so want to give you the answer. And oh my God, that is the hardest thing, is true.
We want to fix it. Like, and we get it because our programming in a strength capacity or a training capacity, we're there to fix things. But we're not to fix things when it comes to the mindset because they won't own it. They've
Yeah,
come to us, obviously, for the professional advice when it comes to nutrition and training. But the mindset piece is a different way of coaching. And if you coach behavior and try and fix that or tell them, then they're never going to own it and they're
yeah.
not going to get the breakthroughs. So thank you for sharing that. Okay. So clients, they don't sabotage. They use, as we discovered yesterday, for protection. And I would definitely encourage you to go back and listen to the 7 Empowered Eating Sabotages. I've put that up as a video series in the Circle community for everybody to go through because it'll help you understand this a little bit further. And if you can get to it, I think they're about 5 to 10 minutes long. There's 7 videos. If you can get to it before our next session, it'll help you understand secondary gain a lot better as well. So, and I used to be the
Resources.
same. Sorry, what
Is
was
in the
that?
resources, right?
Sorry, I distilled in here.
Is in the resources
Yeah,
in the
yeah, it's in the resources tab. So I put up last night.
Oh, okay.
Didn't realize that I didn't make live was the replay for this and the slides. But then there's also a resources section that's been open for a while and it's got
Oh,
a
good.
few different things in there, including the 7 Empowered Eating Sabotages. So, and I used to be like everybody else. I thought that myself and my clients, they were just inconsistent and they'd just smash it out for 4 weeks, sometimes up to 6 weeks. You can see that clients will stay focused on the restrictive part and then they binge out of control. And we think, well, I used to think that it was all about discipline and that they just had to knuckle down and try harder, but that's not the case. It goes a lot deeper than that. So, as I may have mentioned yesterday, something happened from the ages of 0 to 7. We create a thought and belief about ourselves, and then we spend the rest of our life collecting more and more evidence as to why that is true. So that story becomes your identity, and then that identity seeks evidence that it is real because we want to believe what we have created in our own mind. So we're going to search for that evidence. It's like where attention goes, energy flows, results follow. Where you're focused, you'll find more and more of that. So they'll experience some kind of pain in their childhood, and then it may be that food creates relief, as we talked about yesterday, with people that were rewarded with food when they were upset and things like that. Or if a mum was too busy doing whatever it was that she was doing and she just stuffed the child full of food to make them feel good. A lot of those stories and things happen in younger years, and our parents, both a father and a mother, are the people that we seek most of our validation from because we come out of the womb, and if we don't have the validation of our parents, then we die. So it's really important to understand where some of this stuff comes from. And then they'll spend the next 10, 20, 30 years trying to find more and more evidence of why they're not worthy, they don't deserve success, they don't deserve happiness. And you'll hear clients saying things like, oh, I've always been like this, or food has always been my comfort, or I've never had willpower, or I don't know why I should bother because I just screw it up anyway. And that's like this deep rooted belief, and it comes from their origin stories, and the origin stories are those things that happen from 0 to 7. It's like a coding of a computer. They've been coded with this, and unless they do the upgrades, like our phone gets upgrades all the time, they won't change the original story. And you need to go back and review the data. And it's not about reliving that trauma. It is, what did I make that situation mean about me? And then it's the stories that they've told themselves about why they weren't good enough. And Marissa Peer, she's a really great one to actually look up, is she says, tell yourself a better lie. We've all taken these stories and created a meaning about it. But if we both went to the tennis and say you went for Federer and I went for Djokovic, we would come away, even though we watched the exact same tennis match, we'd both come away with totally different stories about what happened on the tennis court, because you're looking through this lens and then I'm looking through this lens. And it's the same as those stories that we tell ourselves when we're children. If we just throw some doubt at it or go and reinvestigate a different situation, maybe mum was a single mum and she couldn't afford to not work and spend time with her child, so she used the food to soothe the child. Or if we're talking about your particular client, I'm not worthy of love and affection because my parents would much rather turn to the bottle than give me the love and affection that I desire and need. So therefore, I'm not worthy. And maybe there was some scenarios where she was emotionally unsafe or physically unsafe. So if I make myself bigger, I will be safer because I'm carrying my protection, my layer, or my doona, or my marshmallow suit, as another client had called it. So that could be the unconscious driver behind her behavior. So we're no longer looking at clients to say that they're not compliant. We're looking through the new lens and they're conditioned this way. If you don't understand the conditioning and the coding, you're going to diagnose the problem as not being compliant, or they're just not focused enough, or they don't want it bad enough. None of that is true. And if you run that diagnosis of they're just not trying hard enough, they're not focused, then you're going to lose them as clients. You're not going to get the authority at the referrals that you need, and you're not going to be a person of authority because you're not holding them in that space. You're just accusing them of being wrong. And they don't need more of that. Trust me, they already know that they're wrong and they've created that thought and belief. So what I'm now moving you from is being a behavioural technician. And that is, I suppose, what we are taught as PTs, but then let's move into being a coach and walking beside them. They are the experts in their life. They're able to move forward if you stand with me in that space, not from a telling position, but from a guiding position. So we're going to upgrade our lens and the way that we talk to our clients. So as I mentioned, something's going to happen in childhood, and then we create the meaning about that, and we create meaning and belief, and that belief then becomes behavior, and the behavior, we find more and more evidence, and then the clients slip up, they feel shame, that belief that, and I'll run through a scenario, is reinforced, and it backs up that belief and that evidence that they have from their childhood. So let's look at not being compliant or very restrictive. Something happens in childhood where they learn that if they're perfect and they're the good ones, then they get accolades, they get recognition, or mum doesn't scream at them, or dad doesn't get mad because they're the good, perfect little child. And then they made a meaning that they have to be perfect for everybody to love them. And then that belief is formed: if I'm perfect, people love me. So I'm going to, and this was my own story, was my biological father left when I was 2. So I believed that I had to be perfect for everybody to love me. So a lot of all or nothing behavior comes from wanting to be perfect, because for a perfectionist, you're chasing the horizon. Nothing is ever good enough for a perfectionist. So it's just this ongoing battle for external validation through perfectionism. For me, I was the straight A student in school, and then I got bullied really badly for being the square bear. So then I was going to be the best party girl. And all through my teenage years, I was the best party girl. And then into my 20s, I did bodybuilding, which is like the pursuit of perfectionism when it comes to body shape and body composition. It's an external validation source. And then until I got to the bottom of what was driving that, I would go on these yo-yos and post-comp on bodybuilding, I gained 20 kilos. And it'd be this up and down constantly, because deep down, I didn't feel I was worthy. I accused myself of not being good enough because of what had happened where my biological father left. But if we look at the origin stories, it comes way back there. I made the decision that I wasn't worthy. I made the decision I wasn't good enough. And then I collect more and more evidence. So I create the meaning belief. I formed a behavior that I had to be perfect. That was my chosen. And then I found more and more evidence. The more perfect I am, the more the teachers liked me, the more that my mum would like me if I was well behaved. And then I'd slip up on my nutrition and then I'd feel shame. And then I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I need to be perfect. I need to be more perfect and more compliant on my diet. And this is where orthorexia comes in. Have you heard of the concept orthorexia?
No.
So orthorexia, you create so many food rules about your life that you can't eat outside of those. And for me, that ended up being white fish and sweet potato and green veggies and some egg whites. I used to look down at my Fernwood friends, my PT friends in Fernwood, because they were eating tuna out of a tin because I'd created all these food rules because I was the perfect one. And I was judging them on that
Right.
because that was more about, oh, I have to be more disciplined, I have to be more perfect. And that's where orthorexia or sometimes anorexia and bulimia also come in under that. Or that's where that whole binging cycle comes from is I'm going to be perfect. Deprivation, deprivation, deprivation. I can't handle this anymore. Body
Yeah.
overrides. And then,
That that's literally what I know. Like the
yeah,
big cycle that I know that I've
yeah,
seen like in many people and I've seen on myself as well, like back when I was like 20 years old. That's like the common binge cycle that I knew, right?
yeah.
Restrict, 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 and then it's like, no, I can't do this anymore and binge on everything.
Do you know where that all or nothing mentality comes from? If we looked for your coding, and if you don't mind me putting you in the hotspot.
For me,
Yeah.
you mean, to be fair, I have no idea because I've never really thought about it this way.
Mm-hmm.
If I look back at, oh, Kim is coming in. I don't know if you can see her.
Yep. Thank you. That's what I needed to hear. Mhm. I need this one bigger, I think.
Someone was coming in, but no,
Another goal.
no. Okay, I don't know.
Still going to see.
Um, like if I think about my own stories, like I know that my parents split up when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Literally like when I have a brother that is like 2 years older than me, and they split up when I was like newborn, maybe a few months or whatever. But I never really like paid too much attention to it. You know what I mean? Because I grew up without my dad. I've always been with like my mom and my brother. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't even, I feel like personally, I don't even have that I miss a father figure because I don't even know what it is to have it in the first place. But I know that we would always like, mom was a single mom, so she would always be working, and she's a pastry chef. So she was always cooking.
Yeah.
And we moved out a lot when we were kids. We moved out so many times. And I carried that thing with me because I left Italy when I was 20 and I went back and forth between London and Spain for a few times and then I came here to Australia. So I don't know if that is all related to the binge eating cycle that I had when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like I always had problems with like my body image because I was like the chubby one, right? Like, I've never been, as I said, I've never been like 20 or 30 kilos overweight, never that. But I've always been the chubbiest kid of the group, the funny one, the one that they turn for fun instead of like, And then I
Yeah.
remember that would hurt me. And I remember also like kids making fun of like my arms, that I had big arms, whereas now it's like, yeah, say that is big. But I don't know. I'm starting to see that it's probably all correlated, that I always wanted to, especially the fact that I was moving out, I wanted to have a better life and a better job and I have better this, better that. So maybe it's like all correlated. And yeah, having like a better body. So trying not to eat because that's what I knew back then.
Yep. And it's still seeking that external validation.
Yeah, literally.
Is there someone that you're seeking that validation from?
Not that I can think of, because I've always seen myself as like really independent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but again, I'm the kind of person that if you tell me you don't like me, I take it personal. Like it really hurts me. So I'm assuming like from no one but from everyone. Yeah. It's a bit like a
Origin
lot.
story as well.
What is that?
That may have an origin story as well. That
Most likely we'll have it. Yeah.
I'm like, we can helicopter out and go, well, in tribal times, if we weren't liked, we got kicked out, we died. So we do seek external validation, but that's again chasing the horizon. You can't be the best possible peach because not everybody likes peaches. So again, that would have an origin story, wanting everybody to like you. And it could have been your brother, it could have been someone at school, could be a relative. Somewhere it hurt deeply not to be liked, and then you wanted everybody to like you, and maybe that's where the perfectionism comes
Eh, I can think of that.
from.
I can think of that, yeah. Since like when I was a little kid, I was always like the weird one of the family. Like when we were playing, we used to spend because mom was always at work, so we used to spend a lot of time with my auntie and my two cousins. And we were like close, but I was always like, the one that was made fun of when I was a kid.
On the jester role. And we talk about this in the advanced courses. We all in our families, we take on different roles and different archetypes. And then that can also play into dictating the behavior as well. So yours at some stage sounded like you had to be the jester. They're going to make fun of me anyway. So I'm going to own this title of being the jester. And then sometimes for other people, that becomes I'm the fat, funny one. Rebel Wilson is a prime example of that
Yeah.
because she somewhere we don't know her stories, but there'll be somewhere along the lines that she took on that archetype. And archetypes, these can work for us, but then there's unresourceful behavior as well. And especially if the jester is associated with being the fat, funny one, then the unresourceful behavior is that your health is put on
Yeah.
the line over that. So it's you can still be the funny one, absolutely, but it's when it's associated with unresourceful behavior and identity that's when it becomes more entangled, and that's why you want to get to the bottom of it. Okay, so we do have a good slide coming up. So we just understood that there's all these behaviors that are happening with our clients, but if we don't get to the root cause and that belief, then that's when we don't create that long-term change. So binging is a cover story for something deeper, and body fat is the storage of stories. And it's unraveling your clients' stories about themselves and those beliefs that they've created. So I want you to take a couple of moments to write this down, and I want you to fill it out. And I want you to do it as you, because that way, if you're doing the work, and I always believe smoke what you sell or drink the Kool-Aid, which is I would never do anything mindset wise and training wise that I'm not willing to do. Unless they
Yeah.
want to do high rocks, and they all know I'm a powerlifter now, I don't do high rocks. But what I'm getting at is I lead by example when it comes to doing all this work. And that's why I'm encouraging you to put yourself in the hot seat today and write down, I want to achieve blah, but I keep sabotaging by blah because deep down I believe or feel.
Medicare.
It's not
That
straight.
is not just related to body image, right? That could be, for example, my
Yeah.
business.
Yep. And how you do one thing is how you do many. You will
God, I've heard it so many times.
it's so true. So true.
Now,
Like
now
clients
it makes
run
sense.
in patterns, and if you can start to recognize their patterns,
That is literally crazy.
money is a really interesting one. Those that finish everything on their plate will then go and drain their bank account at the end of the week. Uh, so I had great success with a client. She cleared out 30K worth of debt. So we mapped across everything that she did with the 30K debt to nutrition and training, and she was able to create success. But she'd also got a bulk of evidence here saying that she was capable of doing 30K of debt, which meant that she could shift her body weight, her body composition.
That is like just insane.
This is the fun stuff that we get to explore, and this is why I love it. Is you get to see patterns. So I want you to, I'm going to pause for a moment and stop talking, and I want you to figure that out and see how far we get.
I'm not really sure if what I'm gonna write is gonna make like it's not as specific.
It's okay.
Um, oh my God, I'm not gonna take pictures. So,
What have we got?
I want to achieve time freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally like the conversation we opened with today.
Yes.
But I keep sabotaging by keeping myself busy with things that are not the priority at the moment. Because deep down, I feel I can't and I will never have the business that I actually want.
Why do you believe that you can't have the business that you want?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that I shouldn't judge my future based on my past, but I've never really had, and I've never really seen anyone around me either having the online business that successful online business that I want that allows me to stay home and have time for myself and travel and and go back to see mom whenever I want. Like, I don't know, I feel like not that I don't deserve it because I've done nothing wrong not to say like I don't deserve it, but I don't know, I feel like I can't have it.
Why can't you have it?
Because I don't have proof that I don't know. Because I'm not able to, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know if I'm doing it right. I don't know if I'll be able to put two and two together. Like, I've been trying for 2 years and nothing has been happening. So, yeah, I've got 8 people, but it's not like I always had like 6 to 8 people, but it doesn't seem to go more than that.
Where else don't you believe that you can have things?
Where else I believe that I can have things? The house that I want, the massive big house in front of the ocean. Like that would be amazing. But yeah, that's another thing that I'm like, I dream about it and I feel like I can't have it.
But why can't you have things? What do you need to believe about yourself that makes you believe that you can't have things?
That I'm more capable.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I feel like I don't know enough.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I'm not really sure. I don't know. I've never really seen it, never really had it, and never really seen anyone who had this time freedom. So it's hard for me to believe that a person, like an average person like me, can actually achieve that amount of success.
Why is there a whiteboard in the sky saying that you can't have this stuff?
What was that? Sorry.
Why do you believe there's a whiteboard in the sky that says that you can't have this? I can guarantee you there's no whiteboard in the sky that says
Yeah, that's for sure, but I don't know
there
why
are
I'm like,
plenty of people, PTs, various different people of all different backgrounds that have online businesses that create freedom. But why do you believe that you can't? You believe it.
maybe because people don't really like what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I
What
don't
else?
know. Like one thing that I keep reverting back to is because I'm trying to obviously set it up on Instagram because of social media, right? But like I'm starting to associate like the follower count doesn't go up. So people meet like that means that people don't like my page. That means that people don't like me and the way I talk and the way I do things. Like,
Some people out there need to hear your voice.
yeah,
The way that you say it is unique. Like my clients have said, like they've gone off to do like trial things with different other coaches, and they genuinely like the way that I talk about things and how I talk about it and how I bring my own experience and my own life's journey to the knowledge base that I have. So that's a cover story. What else? Something under that.
mm,
What's your deep down fear?
not really sure. Maybe to actually say the things that I want to say, sort of like I'm afraid that if I'm gonna like if I'm gonna start saying the things that I actually want to say, instead of reverting back to like educational videos and things like that, which are safer, but they're not really they're not really what I want to say.
Why are you not saying what you want to say?
Because that might hurt people. Like I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to offend people. I don't want to make you feel like bad. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, yeah, you probably sometimes certain people do need to feel bad as an eye-opening kind of thing, which is the way I personally work, honestly. If someone, quote unquote, and pardon the French, gives me shit, it's eye-opening for me. And I'd be like, oh yeah, that's actually true. Okay, let's change that. That's like with everyday little things. But I feel like I can't do that because it sounds so judgy.
There are so many people out there that it's so polarizing that that's what draws their audience to them. So you
Yeah.
can stay safe and talk about general stuff and not be heard because you're one of the many voices in the crowd, where you can be polarizing and stand out and get your tribe of people that follow you, that love you for being that blunt. There's a lady by in a totally different industry, but an example that springs to mind. There's a lady by the name of Anna Bay, and like her or hate her, she talks about elegance and how you present yourself and things. And she will list off the things that average Joes don't wear if you want to be elevated. And she's very polarizing, and she will call out stuff. So she stands out in a noisy market because she is polarizing. I'm hearing that you're afraid of judgment. Is that fair? Yep. And then that has an origin story. If I don't stand out and I don't speak up, then I'm not going to be judged.
It could probably be from the scene that I told you when I was a kid and my family and like my cousins and they would make fun of me and whatever. So like that's what I think of.
Yeah,
Like
so back to your origin stories.
I have literally like specific scenes in my my mind right now.
Yeah. Okay, so we found your origin stories. Can you see how the existing version of you right now comes back to a thought and belief that you created around your cousins, that you don't want to stand out, you don't want to be judged, you don't want to be different? Because I was writing notes. And maybe they saw that you weren't capable and didn't trust your knowledge, especially if you were the youngest. So if you knew something about something, they didn't believe you, or maybe they didn't see that you were capable. And now the adult version of you is playing this out in real life.
How do I get rid of that?
Go back and review the story and write a better quality story. That's part of it. Uh, so if we look at our clients, they're binging, they're procrastinating, they're binge shopping, they're binge watching. Limerence, meaning that you're in love with love. You self-abandon. You're somewhat abandoning yourself with the fact that you're not putting out the real version of you online. You're not being your authentic you online because it's safer to abandon yourself in the fear of judgment. So a lot of limiting beliefs and these origin stories come back to a fear because it becomes protection. We're all looking to keep ourselves safe. And a lot of beliefs come back to, I'm not good enough, I'm too different. You're trying to tell me that you were too different, that this doesn't happen for an average girl of my background. And things are unavailable. And I had to work through something similar, which was success wasn't available to me because, hey, love wasn't available to me. So as a child, like that full, complete love from a mother and a father wasn't available for me. That's my origin story. So why would success be available for me now? And you have to go back and rewrite the stories from the childhood origin story, because if you don't go back to the origin, nothing else changes. You could see.
So how it's all connected. It's unbelievable.
Yep. And we pretty much went through what your story is. So, yeah, we spend our whole life finding evidence. What evidence have you found? If we're looking for your evidence, what evidence have you found? I want you to find your first 0 to 7, then your childhood, then your teenage years, and then your early adulthood. Give me, you can go in any order of those.
Well, again, like I was always like the chubby one, so I was kind of like not marginalized because I wasn't like, oh my God, but yeah, like I wasn't seen, I was just seen as the funny one, and that for me as well was like no one likes me, or I'm afraid to say something in general, like in everyday life. If I'm afraid to say something, I will never say it because I don't want to be judged. And I remember like even with this business, online business thing, I have blocked so many people because I was afraid of them seeing my stories on Instagram and I was afraid of them like judging me. I was thinking that they would just talk about me and my stories, my Instagram stories, which I know it doesn't make sense because like no, they won't do that. But that's like literally at the level we're at.
And it's a rite of passage as a business owner to get hate emails, to get horrible comments, to get people talking about you. It is a rite of passage. So if we could reframe that, and a lot of this stuff does come back to how you frame it in your own mind, and how can you reframe that is when they're talking about you, that's a rite of passage. That means you've made it. Like to me, that's the holy grail. So
That
every
means I'm
bad
getting
review,
interest.
every negative comment, it just means that you made it. And most of the time, those are coming from keyboard warriors who aren't out there living their life. They're not out there changing the world like we are. They're just at home living their, if we go back to 6 core needs yesterday, they need certainty that they feel better than someone by putting somebody else down. They need variety because they want to see your reaction. They get significance because they're bullying you online, and their love and connection they might get from other people agreeing
Yeah.
with them. But again, they're just the keyboard warriors. You don't want them in your life.
I mean, they're not even your people at the end of the day, so why do
No,
you worry about it?
they're not going to buy from you anyway. So who cares? Who cares? They're going
Exactly.
to love you for your voice and how you tell your stories and your lived experience that you bring to enrich your stories. And yes, you're sharing educational videos, but how about you start using them more as personal stories and sharing more authentically without that fear of judgment?
Yeah, I feel like I've always tried to like prove myself, prove that I knew, prove that, I can do this. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
And that's where procrastinating comes about. People procrastinate in their learning because they think they need to know more. They need to know this and that and everything. And then they don't launch their business and they don't change the world. And that's doing a disservice.
True.
Stop doing a disservice.
True.
You're digging your story. Do not die with the music inside you.
Oh.
You're put on this earth for a reason. It's the same reason why I'm right here in front of you is I am put on this earth to make a difference when it comes to emotional eating. I've just now decided to scale up bigger and help PTs do the same thing. So if we go back to any order of 0 to 7, the childhood, the teenage years, and the early adulthood, let's get one story for each. But usually when I do this with a client, you end up filling up. So you take half a page for each story because it's almost detoxing to them to get these stories out, and they may have never ever shared them with anybody. So it's whatever comes up is coming up to heal. And that's why I really take the time. And sometimes this will take 2 sessions to go
Yeah.
over because I want them to get it all out. And some of it might be sitting there back here, and we're like the person with the light, the flashlight, shining the torch on the darkest areas of their life and bringing it back out so that they can clear it away, so that they can write a better quality story. So let's get a bit more clarity around what is it, what's the overarching thing that you believe that is holding you back, and let's go find the origin stories in accordance to this method. So what's the overall, because we've mentioned judgment, not speaking up, not being authentic, abandoning yourself. There's lots of different stories there, but let's go with one that you think is the most powerful at the moment.
Probably the judgment one, I think, is like the biggest,
Mm-hmm.
the biggest of them all. Like all the rest come from the fear of judgment, literally.
Okay. So do you have something from 0 to 7?
Uh, I have a scene in particular in mind when I remember like we were playing and we were playing like school, like I was the teacher and they were like the students, like you know how kids play, right? And every time, that's not really fear of judgment though, it's more like using my own voice. I remember I had this teacher of mine that I used to love, and I would always use like her name. I used to love this teacher. She was so good. And when we would play this kind of game where one of us would be the teacher and like the other the students, in this particular day, I was a teacher and we were doing, I can't remember what we were doing exactly, but I was like trying to explain something to them and they were like not even listening. So I would kind of like raise my voice to get their attention. And every time I would do that, they would just fire back at me. And that's probably one of the first time that I was like, okay, I can't do this. Like I can't scream, I can't, they don't want to hear me, you know? So maybe that's that. That's probably like the very first time that I've had, and I swear I remember it like it was yesterday.
Where we know it's the powerful anchor
Yeah,
origin story is because you can see it so vividly in your mind.
literally. And there was my auntie there as well. And she would tell me as well, like, Don't scream." But obviously, you don't want kids to scream. That's normal. But I
Mm,
took it as we don't want to hear you. We don't want to hear your voice. That's how I took it. And
yeah,
yeah, that's probably like it's not really fear of judgment, but it's more like using my own voice.
which is why you're afraid to do it online as well. Can you see the correlation now?
Yeah.
And I get it. I come from a generation where we were told to shut up,
Literally.
and not heard. Like that. That was our norm. We couldn't talk in the car. And then the teenage version of me that wanted to date guys, I was dating guys, and we were all at the age where we had licenses and stuff. I wouldn't speak in the car. And boys thought I was so weird because I couldn't speak in the car. But I came from an origin story. Kids should never not heard, and you do not talk in the car. You just look out the window. So you can see how these origin stories can just play out in some crazy ways.
That's like I've never really thought about it this way, honestly.
Yeah. And now you start to have that lens where you look through, oh, where's the origin story? Where'd that come from? And you'll see it with bright, shining lights with other people. You start to understand their behavior, what drives their behavior. There's something underneath it. Okay, then let's look at childhood, what happened after the age of 7 to, because now you've got a belief that I can't use my voice, I can't be heard, don't speak up, no one hears me, and you've started to look for evidence. Where was the next piece of evidence?
From when I was seven onwards, uh, that would be, yeah, elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I remember there was a one of my quote unquote friends,
Mm-hmm.
like we would live close to each other as well. And like we would play outside of school because we were like sort of neighbors. But when we were in school, she would kind of like not even look at me. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
No, it's actually quite common. Like I've heard that's a different variation of that story before. It's not the first time I've heard that.
I still remember this kid. Like God knows where she is now at the moment, honestly. Like,
You haven't tried to Facebook stalk?
no, no. Honestly, no. But I remember she would attract a lot of like kids around her. She would like form clubs and things, and I was never part of those. But if we were outside of school because we were neighbors, like we would play together.
Mm.
So it was even confusing actually, but now that I think about it.
Adult version of you sees it as confusing. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I never thought of it before, but yeah, now that I think about it, it's quite confusing. Like, what the hell?
And that definitely comes back to judgment. She likes me at home in the
Yeah,
backyard. She doesn't like me at school. So there must be something wrong with me. You can see how in mini me and you
yeah,
created that story.
definitely this what is that there must be something wrong with me. That's
Mm.
definitely a thing that keeps playing up even now in the business.
Yeah.
That's absolutely and literally the most recent one is been with reels and when I go and see the insights and I see the difference between like a B-roll where I don't speak and the retention graph is like quite linear,
Mm.
whereas the talking head reels, as soon as I say a word, the retention graph goes down as soon as I start speaking. And that keeps playing out in my mind as well, being like, what's wrong with me? There must be something wrong with me because with other kind of reels, it doesn't happen. But as soon as I speak, and God, it's so freaking related.
I love that the light bulb moments are going off.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's that contrast again. Or
Yeah.
I can have this, but not that. You see how you've got that? I can,
It's
I can
just
have
insane.
the big house, but I can't have, let's say, love. I'll throw that into the mix. Another great book about this is called The Big Leap. It's by Gay Hendricks. And
I
it's
wanted
actually
to read that.
sorry.
I wanted to read that. That's like on my book list.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a short read, pretty easy. But we all have this thermostat of how good we believe our life can get. And if the thermostat gets too high, we somehow sabotage it. So it's that this or that instead of this and that. And I get it. Like I had a belief that I couldn't be a mum, have my business, and be an athlete. I couldn't do it all. And now I am proving that I can do it all. Like I've been to Worlds in between having the two kids. I went to Worlds and came away with gold, and I still have my business that I love. And I'm a mum and I coach and I do all the things because I had to dig deeper as to why I believe I couldn't have that. And I had a single mum family. I didn't see her have it all. So I just projected that onto me. I can't have it all because I don't come from that kind of background. But then there's no whiteboard in the sky saying that I can't. We don't come out of the womb believing that we can't speak up, we're not good enough, we don't deserve judgment, not worthy, all of that stuff. If you've met a baby from 0 to 1, they will scream. They will scream until they get what they want. They will be heard. There's no judgment. They just will ask for what they want. They don't have words, but they will still ask for what they want. But then that baby learns that my voice isn't worthy of being listened to. Or I can be soothed, but I can't keep my mama because she has to go off and do stuff. And it can go, and obviously we just helicopter out further and further. So then what happened in teenage years about judgment?
Teenage years, I think, is like that's when I was a bit more chubbier.
Mhm.
And I was kind of like quote unquote bullied in school. That was like more like the first year of high school. I went to this particular high school because my best friend back then went there. It wasn't a high school that was for me at all, like at all. But I was like, okay, if I apply myself, I can do this. But so I went there because of my friend. And the first like 3 weeks, 4 weeks of high school, she was still on holiday. So I was there by myself. And although I knew the other kids, some other kids, because some of them came like to the primary school with me, but like, I didn't know them. I didn't know them as in like very closely. And they turned out to be pretty nasty kids. And they would make fun of me as well. Because I remember I used to have, you have little hairs here. And they used to make fun of me for that a lot. So yeah, that's the fear of judgment. That's the fear of judgment. And
And then early adulthood.
that's when I started a little bit more quote unquote no caring. And I left Italy.
Mhm.
I left Italy. I went to London. What was I doing there? Well, yeah, that's another one. There was a colleague of mine. I used to work at this restaurant. I wasn't yet into fitness and nutrition. I didn't even know what carbs were, honestly, back then. And completely clueless.
Oh, I had a client
And
that told me, oh, I didn't know potato was carbs.
literally, that was me back then. Um, I remember I used to work at this restaurant. It happened either like once in London and once here in Australia. And I was a bit chubbier, and they made fun of like the staff food, saying like I couldn't have that, I should have had a salad. And that got me. Like that happened twice. And both times I remember right after that comment, I went on a diet and restricted and lost weight and yada yada yada, the whole lot.
And if someone believed that they were the prize and that they were good enough, how would they have acted?
What was that? If
So if you weren't, if you didn't have the fear of judgment and you believed you were the prize, you believed that you were good enough, how would that person react?
I would have probably tell them to fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Most likely.
But because you've had this lens of I'm going to be judged and I can't speak up and I can't use my words,
Yeah.
you didn't tell them to F off. And then it ended up in this dieting cycle for the rest of
Restricting and the whole lot. Like I used to live on an apple a day, one apple a day for 3 days in a row until like I was so bloody hungry that I would nearly faint.
yeah.
Literally.
And it all came from that lens, the fear of judgment.
Yeah. And not being able to respond.
Yeah. And not using your voice, speaking up.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So now you can understand how this drives your client's behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not just obviously like it's not just I can't stick to the diet because I'm not compliant or I don't like the food. It's not that.
Yeah.
Now it all makes sense.
This is where you've got to sit and join the dots for them and use this framework. It's one of the most powerful sessions I do. And I love it because I can see even the difference in your faces. The light bulb moments went off. You're like, oh,
I would love to be able to do this actually with my client, the one that I talked about yesterday. I would love to do this with her because she's been battling this binge eating for ever, ever. Like she's 40 something, not 44, I think, if I'm not wrong. And every time, like she's lost already 15 kilos, like and up until last, we've been working together for like a year and a half or something. And in the first a little bit less than a year of working together, she's lost those 15 kilos.
Amazing.
She has another 15 to go,
Yeah.
but she's stuck there and she just can't. And she keeps self-sabotaging. And we can't understand why. So to be able to do this with her, that would be, oh my God. Like if I can help one client, I'm happy, you know what I mean?
And that's how it starts. It starts with one client.
Yeah.
So my suggestion to you, and I'm not a business coach, but this is a strong suggestion. Say to her, I am learning this stuff. I would love for you to be my client. And in exchange for, like, I don't know, if you want to say 3 sessions or whatever, I would really like a testimonial. I want a written and a video testimonial because you need both. I get her to give you a testimonial out of it. And then that way you can use that for other clients and you can use it in so many different ways. Like testimonials for us are like gold.
Yeah. Like
It
I know she would be happy. She would be really happy to help because like, we're really close as well. Like we have a really close relationship, me and this client, and she would be really, really, really happy to help me. And obviously, like she would be really happy to solve this problem.
So it may be some extra time on top of her PT session. Do not trade it because you still need an income. So I wouldn't say, oh, instead of our session, you're going to do this with me. I would do it on top of, or still get paid. What I'm saying is don't lose income over this.
Yeah, no, no. Like, well, again, like I work as is not like a pay rent model, the gym where I work at. Like I'm actually employed over there. And
Oh, okay.
again, it's my boyfriend's studio. So if I want to give her, say, another session, the sessions are half an hour. If I
Oh,
want to give her another half an hour, like I'm happy to do it for this, for her. I'm
okay.
really happy to do it. I don't mind. Of course, I'm not gonna be able to do it for everyone. That's clear. But
Obviously, you've got a relationship with your boyfriend.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
You still more and bend a few rules. And if people, and look, I'm in a strength and conditioning gym, and yeah, I'm a contractor, so I do my own thing. But a lot of the other PTs have seen me sit down on the ground with my clients in the middle, not in the middle, off to the side on the gym floor, because we've had a nugget in the middle of our rest
Yeah,
periods that I need to dig deeper into with a client. So it's not unusual to see Kim sitting on the floor with her clients. And if it's getting really heavy, I just grab some paper off the printer and I start writing because I like to write. I like my hand, and I've got like notes written from because that's how I get to connect the dots. Just remember that if you're taking notes like this, they are confidential, so we either need to shred them afterwards or have them locked up. You can't have client notes just floating around.
yeah, 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 of
Putting
course.
that out from a practitioner point of view, that you do need to secure notes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, Even things like my Tuesday night class with my clients for empowered eating, I don't record those sessions because then I don't have to deal with the digital
Yeah.
disposing of things. So I just putting it out there that we have to keep client confidentiality and dispose of notes properly. So yeah, we found out your current unresourceful behavior is not using your voice authentically online on Instagram due to all these other stories that came about from 0 to 7. So if that lady, particularly if you're thinking about that client, if you don't start this work with her, she will relapse. You'll question your own ability as a PT. You'll blame her not being consistent, and you'll think you'll need to write a new program where it's not really actually about the new program. And long term, it can lead to feeling unstable. So it comes back to the body fat is storage of stories that happen from 0 to 7. One of my own sessions and my own journey, going back to utero and really hearing the voice of my biological father at the time, we can't afford to have a child. So that whole scarcity stuff came from when I was in utero. So you can take a client back to almost a hypnotic state. That stuff doesn't come out until you do that almost hypnotic
Wow.
work. Yeah. Yeah. So that imprint comes
That's
in
like
client.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So you can see why for clients that are on GLP-1s, if they don't do this groundwork, they'll come off the medication and they will relapse. And
Yeah.
like we can say eat protein every meal, make sure you get all your strength training in. We can tell them all that stuff, but they've got to look at what created the storage of stories in the first place. And that 0 to 7 and connecting all the dots to their current behavior. And that's our role. This is why we need to do this stuff, because doctors don't have the time. Most of the time, if they're paying for GLP-1s, they're not going to pay a psychologist, a nutritionist, and a PT. But
Yeah,
if
because
they
it's quite expensive.
all in one with you, and I've had plenty of my clients, because we're not psychologists, we don't have to run by a textbook. I've had clients tell me I got a lot more out of your sessions than I've ever had with the psychologist I've paid for, because we don't have to go by a textbook. And it's more of a talk therapy where we want to join the dots, write a better story, and change their lives permanently. Some psychologists will want them on their payroll for the rest of their life. So it just becomes a talk session where we don't get to the nuts and bolts of where that origin story. And if you heard with you, like we don't go to, like you don't want them to revisit the trauma. It's just plucking out that thought and belief that they created. You don't want to hear the whole story. And if you started to get too deep in, I will pull you out of story, because the full story doesn't serve us. It's just plucking out that belief out of it. So don't let your client go into a half-hour story about it, because it will not serve them. So you kind of gently have to pull them back and say, okay, so what belief did you get from that? Not let them ramble about some big long story for
Yeah.
the next half an hour. It's wasting your time and wasting their time. Stories don't serve. And that sounds contradictory. The elaboration of the story doesn't serve. You want to pull out the facts. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. So yeah, that's my mission, is to technically take on big pharma and give people choices when they want to come off medication, to have all the groundwork. And that's why I want people like you on the mission with me, is to change these people's lives. And we have the power to do so. I'm just giving you the tools and strategies to do that. So I want to appreciate and thank you for being so raw and honest, and being so freeing and vulnerable with what you shared today, because that would, for people that are going to watch the replay, this is a beautiful way of seeing it. And they may be in the exact same situation where they're afraid to get online because they have the same story of judgment. Theirs just looks slightly different. Like the themes are always the same. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I fear judgment. I'm different. Such and such is not available to me, whether that be love or care or whatever. You'll find some common themes, but the stories are a little bit different.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna rewatch this replay again anyway.
Yeah, yeah, because I don't think you took notes, but journaling is, and if you can encourage your clients to journal as well, it helps get all the stuff that runs around in their head. It's like a muddy bucket of water. Journaling enables you to get it down on the page, and it's not running around your head, and you get clarity to then be able to move forward. So I'd suggest for you, through all of this, go back, and because we only touched on a couple of stories out of each age group, but there'll be a lot more. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
I'm
go
pretty
back.
sure that if I sit down, there's gonna be plenty more.
Yeah. And you might end up with 6 or 7 pages worth of stories, but what comes up to heal, and it
Yeah.
means you're able to heal it and connect the dots. And then it's about making that pledge to yourself that you're not going to act out of mini me. You're going to be the prize. You're going to use your voice, because people need to hear your voice. And I
Yeah.
say that contradictory as my voice is going.
I'm actually reading a book at the moment that is called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
I, I don't.
Joe Disperanza or
Joe
Speranza
Dispenza.
Town?
Yeah,
There
Joe
you go.
Dispenza is great because along with Gabor Mate and I can't remember the author of The Body Keeps the Score, those
Oh,
books
that's another one that I want to read. Like
are
I've got it.
really heavy, but it's again, it's understanding very similar to what we just spoke about
Yeah,
physical
yeah,
attributes. If we, and trigger warning for anybody that's listening to this, a lot of women that end up with cervical cancer is it's due to assault because they've created a belief about themselves from the assault, and the physical manifestation is cervical cancer. So, and I think that's Joe Dispenza that said that, or Gabor Mate, or one of them. But yeah, a lot of the ailments that we see. I've got a client, whenever we do some really deep work, she hurts across the middle of her back. And the reason being is because her mum used to whack her across the back. So all the stuff that we talk about is a physical manifestation of
yeah,
the assault that she received as a child. So yeah. When you're in rapport with your body and you actually listen to your body, and it is actually contradictory, and I'll share. I think me coming down with this sickness and losing my voice, it is a physical manifestation of I haven't had my nurture soul time. So I believe in nurture soul time, and that's time for me to journal, pray, meditate, have time out, because I've been trying to get this program off the ground and obviously market it and everything that's involved. It was pretty full on. I haven't had my nurture soul time properly. And usually I get sick or I get a cold when my body is telling me that I need to slow down and stop still. So it's Mother's Day tomorrow. I will be stopping still, and I've got nothing on this afternoon. But our body, if you're in rapport with your body and no longer squashing it down with food and listening to it, otherwise, because a lot of the time people are scared to listen to their body, they're not in rapport with their body, they're just squashing it with food because that soothes the whole gut instinct. If you were in rapport with your body and trusted your gut instinct, then there's no need to shove it all down with food. So yeah, your body will give you signs and messages. And that sounds to some people might be a little bit too woo-woo, but if you can hold them in that space and find out whatever their health ailment is giving
yeah,
them, then you'll
yeah.
find the answer. Beautiful. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Do
Thank you
watch the
very much for
replay,
today. I will.
and thank you for being so vulnerable and real. And so many people are going to get a lot of value out of what you just shared. So I appreciate no end because it was a beautiful way to explain everything that I was just talking about. And it was live in the hot seat, and you could see what this stuff is, how powerful it is, and how we operate from our childhood coding.
It's crazy how it's all connected. Like I loved it. I love that.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
very much, Star.
Excellent. And I want to hear that you get off your journal, but also jump on and speak more authentically.
I think that's not now that I'm starting to see all this, it'll come up.
You're not the little girl with her cousins anymore, or her auntie,
Yeah,
telling her to be quiet. You're not that little girl anymore. Be
yeah.
the adult, not the little girl.
Thank you.
So much love. Take care. I'll see you on Friday.
Yeah.